Hey friends! Today I'm going to be unboxing this, the NVIDIA Jetson Orin Nano. And I'm going to set it up, play around with it, and really dig into it. So I'm Jeremy Morgan, and you're going to learn something about AI today. Alright, so let's see what's in the box here. Open this up. Voila! I like that packaging. I really like the way this looks. Just kind of pure and simple. Here is a manual that doesn't really have very much interesting stuff in it. We've got a power supply. Looks pretty sturdy. We've got the European plug here, which I'll probably never use. And then the good old American plug. And then finally, the unit itself. Very nice. This thing is like clean and just awesome looking. Really lightweight. I really like the looks of this device. And we've got here an HDMI port. Got some USB ports, Ethernet, USB-C, and of course the power supply itself, and a GPIO. Pretty sweet. Got a couple of inbound video ports here, and then the actual unit. So yeah, this thing is ready to go. Now, what is the NVIDIA Jetson Orin Nano, right? Well, basically, it's a Raspberry Pi on steroids. It's a tiny supercomputer made for having AI at the edge. Now, what I mean by that is you have large language models or other machine learning going on right here on the device, rather than going out to the cloud and getting it from some service. You can also use it to develop machine learning software, products, things like that, and you could develop it on this thing instead of some cloud service again. It's a pretty big deal, and it's only $250. It has a 1024 core Ampere GPU with 32 tensor cores, which is pretty serious. It has a 6-core ARM Cortex 64-bit CPU, 8 gig of RAM, and wireless and Ethernet connectivity. So let's dig in and check this thing out. All right, so I'm going through this initial setup guide here, and it says that your Jetson Orin Nano needs its firmware updated in order to make JetPack 6 SD card work. So we need to check to see if the firmware is greater than 36.x or not. So I'm going to plug it in and plug a monitor into it and see where my firmware is at. Okay, so what I know now is that I'm looking for this firmware version here, which is currently at 3.0, and it needs to be set at 5. So in order to update it to version 5, I'm going to have to do the following. Okay, and to start out, I needed to get this JetPack 5.13 image. Now, the only thing I'm going to do with this image is use it to update my firmware. So I went through this Ubuntu installer here, and it's a pretty standard setup. Everything went smooth, and I could reboot back into the system. All right, so I load this thing up here, and there's a bootloader that's supposed to come in and update the BIOS, right? So just as soon as I opened up a terminal here to check the status of it, voila. And then I have this window that pops up that tells me the bootloader has been installed to update the BIOS, and I need to reboot the machine. So I reboot it, and it updates my firmware, and everything's cool. And then I reboot it again. I can go in here and verify that, yes, I do have version 5 point something for the firmware. Here's the tricky part. Now, the JetPack 5.1.3 that I have installed will not work with this new firmware. So now I've got to take this card out and flash it with the new JetPack. So now that I've got the updated firmware, now I need to go and get the JetPack 6 image. So I'll download this image and burn it to my SD card and reboot and fire it back up. Okay, and now I'm going to run through another installer here, and now we're going to be installing JetPack 6.1, which is our final destination version of JetPack that we want before we're going to dig into this thing and start doing stuff. So the process is pretty simple. As I said, you will go in and do the JetPack 5.1.3, upgrade the firmware, then burn the JetPack 6.1 and install that, and then you're good to go. All right, so I have this thing stuffed away in an old storage closet now, and I've got an NVMe drive attached that I formatted that I'm going to use to store models on. Don't judge me, I've got a better enclosure on the way, and this thing is ready to play around with. All right, we've got this thing updated, ready to go. Let's install Ollama on it. This is the first thing that I want to try on here now. If you don't know what Ollama is, check it out at this URL. It's just a really simple interface for running large language models locally on your machine. Now, by my estimates, we should be able to run up to about a 7 billion parameter model on here based on the amount of memory that I have. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm thinking that anything past that is probably not going to run. However, the 1 billion parameter model, 3 billion parameter, I'm very confident those will run. As far as speed goes, let's find out. So I'm guessing based on the hardware specs that this is going to run pretty fast with these models, these 1 billion and 3 billion parameter models. But we really won't find out until, the rubber hits the road and we've actually got Ollama installed and we're querying models. So let's do that. Okay, so I've run the little bash script, and surprisingly, I didn't have to do anything different other than just run that bash script, and Ollama's installed. Okay, so to start this out, let's do the LLaMa 3.2 library from Meta, which is a 3 billion parameter model, and let's see how that thing runs. Okay, and I'm going to do my favorite first prompt here. Tell me a funny joke about Python. Wow, that is snappy. So that just instantly kind of came back for us. This is great. Like, this is fast enough to be a chat model. So one thing I've noticed with this thing is that it does run these things really well. So 1 billion, 3 billion parameter models, piece of cake, fast as lightning. Some of the 7 billion parameter models, it will run slowly, and then with other ones, it hangs. Now, I've had a few issues with this thing in that the system is hanging, and I'm not really sure why the system is hanging, but I am getting an error message that's indicating that maybe I'm pulling a little bit too much voltage. Now here, I'll show you, we can look. Okay, and here's what it looks like when I load up a LLaMa model in the machine. You can see that the memory really starts to ramp up, CPU a little bit, but mostly it's the memory ramping up. And here it is with the model fully loaded. Now, here's that error message. System throttled due to overcurrent. Now, I'm not sure what the meaning of that is. I'm going to Google it and research it and find out how to not do that. But I think that has something to do with the freezing up. Like I said, it's frozen up on me several times. I'm not 100% sure what the cause is right now, but I'm going to keep looking into it. Now, when I jump into the system logs, I can't really find anything out of the ordinary. They just kind of stop when the machine stops. So it's something that I'm going to have to troubleshoot and figure out. Okay, so I've got a bunch of models installed on here now. That's why I attached that extra hard drive. Let's run the LLaMa 3.2 model again and take a look at it. And this time I'm going to send it some queries, really get it working and see how it does. Okay, and I'm going to say, write an article about the benefits of using Ubuntu for machine learning. All right, now it's really going and cooking. We got that error message again. But as you can see, this thing is writing an article right now, and it's just generating and it's spitting out very quick, I would say, for a device of its size. Right? This is what I would expect on my laptop or something. Sure, but on a device this size, that kind of speed is really cool. All right, let's try a 1 billion parameter model with this one. So I'm going to run the LLaMa 3.2, but it's going to be the 1 billion parameter specification. Pretty tiny model, and we're just going to have a little chat with it. And this is the first time I've loaded this up, so it is taking a little while, and I don't want to speed up or cut out some of these key parts of the video because I want you to see what the experience is like. And strangely enough, this 1 billion parameter model is the slowest loading one so far, at least for that initial load, right? So now I can say, hi, how are you doing? And say, cool, I'm a large language model, not a person, but whatever. And I could say, what should I look out for when purchasing a used car? This is a little bit more intensive chat. And as you can see, it's going quick. So you could use something like this as a chat server. You know, that's, I think, one of the primary questions that I've been getting through my DMs is, hey, can I use this for a chat? And that's been a lot of feedback is, you know, plug this thing into my network and just use it as a little chat server. I think you can, just based on these few tests that I've done here. Now, I've got a whole bunch of models here. Let's try running the Phi3, Phi3. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but this is another model that I really like. And this is going to be the first time running it, so it's going to chug a little bit. And you can see that my memory has gone down, but it hasn't quite sunk down to the very bottom yet. So it hasn't freed up all the memory, but it's freed up quite a bit. And we'll see how much the Phi3 uses. Okay, so this one I did have to cut it out because I just couldn't think of anything to say for 10 minutes. It takes a little bit of time to load it. Okay, and I'm going to say again, hi, how are you today? No, I'm an AI. I don't have feelings. And then I'm going to ask that same question. What should I look out for when buying a used car? Now this thing is cooking right along. I mean, it's going pretty fast. And so this could be another chat thing where it's not necessarily pretending it's a person, but it's giving out answers to questions. So say if you're a used car lot, this could be a thing. And so this kind of back and forth chat, this one is a little bit slower. You notice we might want something a bit faster, but I think with really well-tuned models, I think that this thing could definitely just be used to host a chat server at the edge. And of course, I'm going to do a bunch more other stuff with it. So let's look at some real numbers. So if you're familiar with LLaMa and running models, you want to know how fast is this going to be. So let's find out. Okay, so for our first test, we're going to do LLaMa 3.2 1 billion parameter model. We're just going to use the same one. What should I look for when buying a used car? It seems to spit out a whole bunch of stuff, so we'll do this and then we'll see what our token count is. All right, so total duration, that took 18 seconds to generate. Load duration, 64. Prompt eval count, you can see these are all the real numbers. So this one here, 135.85 tokens a second. Let's make a note of that, and let's try another model. Now we're going to run the LLaMa 3.2 model, and this is going to be the 3 billion parameter model. And we're going to try that out. Okay, and again, what should I look out for when purchasing a used car? This one, the speed, just looking at it as it's generating, it looks like it's just a little bit slower than the 1 billion, but not by much. Okay, so if we compare this to the 1 billion parameter model, it took about twice as long to run, which is pretty good. It's about the same amount of tokens here, but this evaluation rate, 135.85 with the 1 billion and 32.46 with this model. And so we can see with the evaluation, there was a bit more tokens involved here, but this one, the eval rate is 19.73 tokens a second on the 3 billion parameter and 31.68 tokens a second on the 1 billion parameter. But both of these are usable, in my opinion, both of these are usable models that you could use for things on this machine. And now I've run the Phi or Phi, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right, model, which is a 3.8 parameter model. And this one, you can see the duration. This one's pretty close to the 3 billion with the LLaMa 3.2. So this is pretty close, 21.68 tokens a second. Not bad at all. And this one's a 3.8 billion parameter model. So I think these are all pretty good between the 1 to 3 billion parameter range. Now, I have tried to load 7 billion parameter models, and so far I have not been able to. The machine does lock up and seize on 7 billion parameter models, but I'm going to work with this and try it. So if you keep subscribed to my YouTube channel or you check out my blog, you'll see some follow-up on this. I'm going to do a lot more testing in this area. There's a few other machine learning and cool things that I want to do besides just Ollama with this, but I do want to see how big of a model that I can load on my machine. Okay, and just for reference, we're going to run this LLaMa 3.2 3 billion parameter model on my Mac Studio. And of course, it's a little bit faster. This eval rate is 114.47 tokens a second. Not a big surprise. Prompt eval was 272 tokens a second. This whole thing took about 5 seconds. And because I'm a silly person, we're going to run this on my RTX 4090 that's in my big Linux machine. And it's ripping right along. And this eval rate is 177.68 tokens a second. So I wanted to show how this thing performs. I wanted to give a little bit of a reference here. Obviously, this is 177 tokens a second, where the Jetson was 31.68. But this costs a lot more than the Jetson, right? The Mac Studio, the RTX 4090, those cost way more than this Jetson does. So, do I think this Jetson is worth the money and you should buy it? Let's find out. So, let's start with the cons, right? The random lockups. So, I experience this quite a bit. However, I look at this device as like R&D stuff. They're still developing it and iterating on it, and we're using it for research and experiments too. So, I don't expect this thing to be ready to drop into production tomorrow, considering it was released 2 days ago. So, I'll figure out the lockup thing, or I won't. Now, it's limited to small models, and this is to be expected. I'm impressed that something of this size and cost can run what it does, so it's not really much of a con. The power usage things, there's some errors coming up with that. I'm a little concerned about it, and I'll be looking into it. The pros. So there are a ton of pros with this thing. I'll start with the easy setup. I did have to go through some steps to update firmware and burn a couple operating systems, but if you're doing the type of work that this machine was built for, this is all well within your abilities. JetPack. So JetPack is a ready-to-go operating system and even has a desktop, and it seems really well thought out and dialed in, like it's just ready to go. Performance. This machine performs better than it should for $250. I mean, it runs through these models very well, and I'll continue to dig in, but this is just a ton of power in a small package. And it's quiet. Now, I expected mayhem and buzzing fans and when I'm running models and things like that, and that just didn't happen. It seems to handle all of this just fine. So, the final verdict? This is built for AI at the edge. Do I think that this device is good for what it's designed for? So far, yes. This seems like an incredibly capable machine for AI at the edge. Now, is it worth the money? Also, yes. This is a very reasonable price point for what you're getting. I think once I dig in and fix some of these issues, I'm going to do some really interesting stuff with it. So subscribe to me on YouTube if you're interested in seeing that. But yes, it is absolutely worth the money. And if you're thinking of getting one, get one. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe to my channel and check out all the wild crap I'm geeking out about. Thanks for watching.